Hello, everybody. So today we are going to see. Let me open. So today, everybody is talking about Databricks, and before even we are going to learn Databricks in this session, I'm planning to create a course for the Databricks for entirely free for all the viewers, and it will be a step-by-step guide for the beginners to understand the Databricks. But before that, there is a very interesting story behind the story behind the Databricks evolution. How the Databricks come into existence. So it is a very interesting story. So I would like to give you a glimpse of before what we are deep dive into this technology, into this tool or into this platform. We will say not tool. We'll understand how it comes and what was the drawbacks in the current industry, which whose problem will be solved by the Databricks. Okay, so I'll tell you. So the thing is, earlier what will happen whenever we have a data from the companies, from the organization, we will process it using the distributed system. Okay, so when we say the distributed system means we get the data from one system and the data will be distributed among the one or two machines to process it. Okay, so that technology earlier it was called Hadoop. Okay, Hadoop MapReduce. So that was the company standard, industry standard to process the distributed data which is coming from the multiple sources. Okay, but then what happened, as the internet boom, new social networking sites increase, multiple users, millions of users enter the data, so huge, we'll say, explosion of the data came into the system, to the market, and which for which the MapReduce was not the sufficient technology to process these big data. Okay, this data could be of structured or semi-structured, different type of data, images, video, audio, JSON files, packet, all type, different types of the data. So it's difficult for the MapReduce technology to process this data in distributed system. Why? Now your question is why? We have a multiple system, right? If you are getting a so many data, big data, you can put thousands of the machines to process it, right? It's a distributed system. But no, the problem is these multiple machines which has been used as a distributed system, everything is reading and writing over the disk. So that was a major flaw in MapReduce, Hadoop MapReduce technology. And it is taking, it's highly slow. It's very slow, like a sloth. Okay, so even if you give the small calculation or math problem, it will take a while to process it because everything it is reading from the disk and writing and calculated over the disk. So it is everything reading and writing in the disk is highly, what you call, is not cost effective, and it is taking time, and it will take incur so many cost to the companies and organization as well. Okay, so that was a major drawback, and people are scratching their head to find the solution. So what will happen, the catalyst to so it was not actually, what you call, developed by any corporate gig or any corporate person. Okay, it was although created by the PhD students in UC Berkeley. So it was a, it's a project. It was a kind of a PhD thesis. The set of the people under I'll show you the image also, because I was so much overwhelmed by this person. Like, he was working like, day and night. This person, okay, Matai Jaharia. Okay, you see the image of this person. I mean, I am, and he was studying in the UC Berkeley and doing his PhD. Okay, network. Okay, his image. So the set of the students under his, so he's a PhD student. He was doing the what do you call, the thesis on, to finding a project. He was creating a project, to, what do you call, to solve the drawbacks of MapReduce, Hadoop MapReduce technology. So they come up with, so they write a code, they come up with a new engine. So they were so much frustrated, and everybody was so much frustrated with the slowness of and the highly cost of map reduced technology. So they created what you call, they write the code and they created a separate engine. So they said, okay, this engine is not working at all with amount with respect to the data what we are getting in the internet nowadays. So we need a different engine. So they write a code, they do some R&D, and they created a new engine called the Spark. Okay, I'll show you. So what happened here, if you see, so this was the center. Let's say we have a machine, and these are the three different machines. Okay, these are the three different, ignore this triangles for now. And when we send, we are getting the data from the sender, and we process in the distributed system ABC. This, you can say ABC are the three different machines. So data is divided into these three systems and process it. So this is called the map reduce technology, or Hadoop. So it was fine, it went fine, but everything is writing on the disk, so which is not good. So then they created Spark engine, so created a new engine which is called the Spark technology. So what they do, they did the same thing, they read and write, but instead of hard disk, they write it in the memory. So they put kind of a memory here. So this triangle, you can imagine it's in memory computation. So this is called the Spark engine. So they created the new technology Spark engine, and it was a hit in the market, boom in the market actually. So what happened, so it was processing your data, million and trillion of data in seconds. So it was like kind of a solving the big headache in just a second. So it was an instant hit in the market. So everybody was happy. This is you can see Apache Spark. I'll show you. Mm. So I have written here also for you to understand. Apache Spark was originally developed in 2009 at UC Berkeley's lab. Okay, it is in USA. And while it was collaborative effect, it was people have worked together. The primary creator is Matai. He started the Spark project as a part of his thesis. Okay, so this was developed, everything went fine. Now what happened, but still there was a challenge. Although we have a Spark technology, we can now process the data very fast, but still there was a challenge. Why? Because to set up this is the challenge. Why? Like in order to process this, we need a storage, we need a compute, right? This was all even if the companies take this wanted to use the Spark technology, they have to set up the storage location, they have to set up the CPUs, what do you call, all the infrastructure things, they have to set up the clusters. So these are the very headache for the companies and organization. So initial cost to set up everything for the Spark technology to use, it's again a headache. So setting up its infrastructure is again a challenge. Then Databricks team, then again the Databricks team think of what we can do, because let's say there is a data engineer, he wanted to just do the some transformation on the data, and let's say there is a data analyst who wanted to just analyze the data, but in order to analyze the data with the Spark engine, he has to first set up, okay, the infrastructure, he has to create a compute, he has to, so all those things is hidden. So what they did, Databricks team, they put their Spark technology as a service with the cloud, because there was a cloud already at that time in the market. We have Microsoft, we had Google, we have AWS. So initially Spark team decided to merge with, or it's not, they have not sell the Spark, they have rented their technology as a service to the AWS, Amazon. Okay, so whatever now the infrastructure cost and everything is managed by Amazon, and the person like the
I'm
data
not quite
engineer
sure how to
or
help you with that.
data scientist, okay, they can just log in with Amazon account, and their infrastructure headache will be taken care by Amazon, and they can directly go to the Databricks, okay, and then they can work on whatever they wanted to do. Like the data engineer, they can create a pipeline. If data analysis, they can directly log into the Amazon. From Amazon, he can choose the Databricks as a service, and then jump to the Databricks and do analysis the code. So all the infrastructure is setting up thing headache will not be done by the data engineer and data analysis, okay, because it was taken care by the AWS. Now this Databricks team has taken a very brave step. They have not sold their technology, they have created a platform They have created a platform on top of the cloud platform, and they give this technology as rented service in the cloud. So and there is we have so we can say the data brick is not a one tool which people usually get confused. It's a kind of platform where you can process your data using the Spark technology, which is a distributed system wherever everything is processed on memory, not on the clusters. When I say clusters, cluster is nothing but a machines, distributed machines. In this case, A, B, C, these are the machines. Okay, we can say the clusters. And the cluster configuration, everything will be done by the cloud. Compute will be done by the cloud. Okay, storage location will be managed by the cloud, let's say. But still, if you see in Databricks, they have hosted, they have made as an open source. That means everybody can log in it, they can learn, they can open your Databricks in a browser. Okay, you can open in the browser and you can start learning. So we have, if your Databricks, if your company or organization initially have a any of the cloud accounts, so you can use this. Like, you, if your organization have an Azure account, so you will have an Azure account. From Azure account you can go to the Databricks. Okay, but just if you are a student, you wanted to just learn a Databricks, so that for that purpose, because this technology is given by the students, right? So they know the pain of the students. The students want to learn and they don't have a money much, but they wanted a free uh, you know um, source. So they made this as a free software, you can say. So you can learn it also. So instead of going to, you do not need a Microsoft account, you do not need a Google account, you do not need a AWS account. Still you can read the Databricks. How is this? Because we have a free edition also. In next session, I will show you how you can create your free edition if you are a student, and I will show you in the next session for the professional, where if you have a Microsoft or AWS account or Google account, how you can create a Azure Databricks account. So stay tuned. Till the time, happy learning. I hope you like the background of the Apache Spark and the Databricks, how it comes into the picture and how it's become very interesting. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye bye.